Hello, everyone on the interwebs, and welcome to my little review about GeForce Now, NVIDIA's gaming cloud service. I'm not a tech YouTuber or anything. I'm just a regular Joe that wants to do a review about this because I have a kind of different angle on this and something that some other people that have reviewed this service haven't mentioned that I'd like to mention and get in here. I'm a middle-aged gamer, old school from the 80s. Played Paperboy and everything like that in the 80s. I'm also a father, and my son is now a teenager and playing more advanced computer games than Roblox and Minecraft. So, kind of need two very good rigs to be updated constantly, and that's getting a bit expensive. So, I tried using this service. I started 2 years ago to use it a little now and then when I play the advanced computer games, but it's pretty good, and even my son has started using it now. So, I thought I'd do a little bit review about it. And I'll be doing a review comparing the cost of buying a brand new 4070 Super Ti, because that's pretty much what you're getting with the Ultimate subscription. And I'm going to be comparing that to the Ultimate Edition monthly version of it, comparing both prices and some extra benefits that you might get with it. I'm right now running 3070 and 3070 Ti on my rigs at home, which is still pretty good, but sometimes in Cyberpunk and in Starfield, it's not enough, really. I'm going to also do this a bit differently because I'm going to start with the cons that I have experienced, the cons for me. I'll also be mentioning some cons that you might need to be aware of, so you don't just subscribe to it and get, feel that you're robbed for something. I'm not paid by Nvidia. I don't have any affiliation. I don't have any inside knowledge. This review is April 2024, as it is right now. I don't know what's coming or anything. They upgraded or increased the price recently. So other than that, I also know that there's a big discussion right now online about ownership and subscription models. And this is a subscription model that you get a rig that you can play on for a month, and that's it. You don't get any extra games. You bring your own games from Steam and whatever you have, and play it there for a month. And when you cancel your subscription, you no longer can play there, but you still have the games, you still have the saves and everything. So there, as far as I know, there's no really gotchas in their model, and they're pretty open with what you get and even what you don't get. And that's actually one of the first and the biggest negative I have about the service, is that not all games are available in GeForce Now. For example, one of my all-time favorite games is Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West. I love that game. I love the atmosphere, the gameplay, the story, and and the music as well. It's just an amazing games. But it's not available on GeForce Now for some reason. It's been available on Steam for 4 years. Zero Dawn. Forbidden West has been available for a month, and it's still not available. And the only reason I can think of is that Nvidia and Sony can't play nice together. They're mega corporations that just looks after themselves. So you're gonna have to live with that. And the upside or the positive that I can give to Nvidia with this is that they're very open about what games are available and on what platform they're available. They have a list on the website listing the games. You can search the list as well. You can even subscribe, or you can even send in recommendations that or suggestions you want this game added. But a lot of people have asked for Horizon, and it's still not there. Also, games like, for example, Starfield. It took a week, I think. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was a week until it was available on GeForce Now, which could, of course, be Microsoft being Microsoft and having it Xbox exclusive for a little bit. I don't know, something to be aware of again. Then Cyberpunk 2077 is another favorite game of mine. And when Phantom Liberty was released, it took a while for me to be able to play it through GeForce Now, because sometimes they take the games offline for maintenance, and they did that with Cyberpunk. So I couldn't play it for I think it was in the evening of launch that I could play it. So not a big deal for me. I have an 8 to 5 job, so not a big deal. But still, sometimes it happens that games are taken offline for patching or maintenance or whatever. Just something for you to be aware of. Then some preview games or builds or something, some people get Steam keys for games that haven't been released yet. Obviously, you won't be able to play them through GeForce Now because they're not available. They only have officially released game, as far as I'm aware. But then again, I'm not an insider, so. Um, and the second con that I've found for me and the way I play games is that add-ons and mods aren't really supported. Most add-ons and mods, they require you to have access to the file system where you're playing the game, which you don't with GeForce Now. Sometimes you have to, copy files into the Steam Apps folder, but you don't have access to that, so you won't be able to add the add-ons and mods unless you can add them, built into Steam or something like that. But copying in files not going to be possible. One of the problems that I have for me is, as I said, I'm an old school gamer. I played Elite back in the days, and I still play Elite Dangerous quite a lot. I'm a discover with, I think, about 3,500 first discovered systems. So I'm also trying to level up xenobiology, which takes a bit of work when you're doing it with the tools that you have in the game. But using add-ons like ED Discovery and Elite Dangerous Buddy makes it a lot easier. But I can't use them when I play GeForce Now because those add-ons require access to the log file of the game, and they don't have access to it. So I can't play using those add-ons. Fortunately, with Elite, it's pretty easy to run on my normal rig, so not a big problem. But if you run like City Skylines or something that is actually demanding, or the City Skylines 2, and you want to add add-ons and mods by copying files, you won't be able to do that, unfortunately. But those are actually the only two big drawbacks that I have found for me. And as I said, this is from my perspective. Yeah, your mileage might vary, as they say. Some other cons that might be an issue for you that you should be aware of is that it's very dependent on a good internet connection. You need to have 50 megabit at least internet connection, and preferably a wired connection, not wireless, because that introduces a lot of lag. But at least 50 megabit. For me, that's not an issue because I have 500 megabits. Here in Sweden, the internet is very nice and built out to everyone, so I have 500 megabit. So that's not a problem for me. And if you're even using a meter connection, that's going to be even bigger issue for you. But then again, if you're doing that, you're probably not playing Cyberpunk because it's quite a big game. And the second thing would be I've found that sometimes it can be a bit finicky when playing with friends or my son. We play, for example, Valorant. When I played on a server in Amsterdam and he plays it here in our house in Sweden, we can't find each other and create groups or things like that. So that might be an issue for you. Also, voice comms. I don't know how that works in GeForce Now because, well, I use Discord or I just talk to my son. But again, it might be something for you to be aware of. Then there's also, as I said, the discussion about ownership. You're not owning anything. You pay $20 per month for a service of playing a computer game on someone else's server. And when you stop paying, you lose access to that. So for some people, the price of $20 per month for something that you don't own, that's a bit much. But that's relative to you and your experience and your situation. But as I've said, I have two rigs that I need to maintain. So for me, it's $40 per month for two rigs or two computers to use this, or buy two graphic cards. And yeah, those are the other cons that you should be aware of before you sign up to this. But let's focus on some positives now. The service, and I have to say, after using this for 2 years, that the performance is actually there. The gameplay that you've seen in the background here is captured on my normal gaming PC using GeForce Now, and it's played in 4040p. And as you can see in Diablo, no problem keeping 120 FPS. In Cyberpunk, with all the ray tracing and everything, it's at least 100 FPS, which is a lot more than my 3070 can pull off. And as far as input lag, my son can notice input lag sometimes. As I said, he's 14. I'm almost 50, so for me, input lag is not a thing. I've given up on complaining about lags for a long time ago. But it kind of depends also on where the server is that you're on. Sometimes it's Amsterdam, sometimes it's Stockholm, and of course, going to be a little bit different. But I think the performance is there for me anyway. But then again, I can hardly see difference between 120 FPS and 144. My son can, he says, but I can't. So for me, the performance is definitely there. And now the second pro for me with GeForce Now is actually the price. I know I said the price might be deterring some people, but for me, it's actually the value is there. Because if you compare buying a NVIDIA 4070 Ti Super today, which is pretty much what you're getting with the Ultimate, that's in Sweden 10,000 crowns at least if you buy new. And when we compare that to how much GeForce Now costs per month, and we're sticking with the per month perspective here, so get 10,000 divided by, I think it's 200 or 29 or whatever it is. I'm going to calculate it on screen. You'll see that it's over 3 years worth of GeForce Now subscription. Of course, you don't own anything at the end, but after 3 years, that 4070 Ti Super might not be worth a lot. But so I think the value is definitely there, at least for one of us here in this house. And you could even get more value out of it if you subscribe to the 6 month version. If you do that, you divide that by two, and it's going to be I think it's going to be like 4 years worth of GeForce Now. And with NVIDIA's release cadence, that's going to be at least 2 generations of graphics card 4 years, because they release a new generation every 2 years. And also, they do upgrade the graphics cards on the server side as well. Sometimes I don't know how often, but when I started, it was 3080s. Now it's 4080s. I don't know when that was added, but they do add it. So they are going to add the 5080s or whatever it is to the Ultimate when it's released, or within a year after that at least. So for me, it's actually pretty sweet deal. So the third positive for me, and this is one that's not, I don't think it's being talked about enough, but it's becoming more and more important, and that's how much energy your computer uses compared to running something locally and running it in GeForce Now. Just an example, I was testing Cyberpunk 2077 this morning, running it on my computer, which is a AMD 7600, I think, and a 3070. It sucked up about 450 watts when playing an action sequence there. And then I switched over to doing it GeForce Now, and it topped 145. So that's a quarter of the energy that it uses when playing it in the cloud. And the reason why that is important is, well, first of all, you're going to notice it on your electricity bill a little bit, depending on how much you game, of course. I have 2 computer rigs, as I mentioned. So for me, it's twice the cost. Well, of course, that depends on how much the energy costs where you live. But in Sweden, it goes up and down. But right now, it's about 1 Swedish crowns per kilowatt hour. So having 2 rigs playing intensive games, that could be 1 kilowatt an hour easily. And if I play that for 5-6 hours a day, that's going to mount up to quite a lot on your electricity bill. Not enough to pay for GeForce Now entirely, but it adds value. And the second thing, when your computer doesn't draw enough energy, is that it doesn't get hot. And nowadays, summers are getting hotter and hotter, so having computers generate a lot of heat. Mm, So just offloading that to someone else's problem, that's pretty good. Another thing about it not generating heat is that you don't need the fans that that much because it's not using a lot of energy. So it becomes quieter. So just because you're offloading the entire workload to another server, you're saving an electricity bill, you're keeping the room cooler, and it's quieter. Three pretty good positives, at least for me. And again, it's twice as much when I have two rigs. Those were the big gains for me when using this service. Some other things that are added value, but not necessarily a big pro for everyone. One thing is storage. As I mentioned, Cyberpunk 2077 comes in at I think about 90 gigabytes right now. And then Starfield, same there, and just keeps adding and adding on your hard drives. So when you're playing in GeForce Now, you don't need to download anything. It can just be on the server. You don't need to have anything. So you don't need to buy new hard drives or NVMe's. So even more added value to that. Also, you can play on a lot of different devices on your Xbox or even the ROG Ally, as I understand, works pretty well if you're at home with your wireless internet connection there. Using it out, for me, example, going on the train to my work every day would be sweet, but it wouldn't be possible because the internet keeps cutting out on me, unfortunately. But your mileage may vary. Also, cloud saves is a positive here. I don't think we give enough credit for the fact that cloud saves exist. I've been playing games since forever, and it was unfathomable to have your saves from two different gaming sessions. But now it works so well, and it works really well in NVIDIA GeForce Now. I can just play Cyberpunk when wherever I am, come home and just boot it up. I can even play locally, and I have the save games right there. You could also, I hope I'm not giving anyone ideas here, but if NVIDIA wanted to be really greedy, they would actually disable this. So they would lock you into their service. So you have to keep paying them to access your save games. That would be really greedy, but they're not. So thumbs up for that. I also like the pay as you go concept that they have, that you pay for a month if you want to, and then just cancel it or whatever. Because sometimes I get the feel that I really need to play Cyberpunk for a month, and I just pay for GeForce Now for that month, and then I cancel it. Same thing goes for my son; he doesn't need it sometimes, so we just cancel it and resubscribe. No problem. You have your games still and your saves and everything. So I really like that. Also, their interface is actually, I think, is pretty sweet because it's to the point. It's here are your games, which you want to play. It's really easy to navigate. Not a lot of customization. You can, of course, choose if you want to have a good performance or if you want to have good quality or if you're going to be streaming it or if you want to use another data center. Usually you just leave it automatic and it just finds the best one. I wish I could choose to only use Stockholm, but well, can't have everything. Also, they list some games that are up for sales in different services, so you don't miss a Steam sale or something on Xbox, because I usually don't log into the Xbox apps to see what games are available there. But they list that and highlight it, so I really like that. So to summarize this for everyone, that's a TLDR thing. The bad things for me is the game availability. I can find all my games, Horizon being the number one complaint here for me. Also, add-on and mod support doesn't exist. Uh, for you, it might be the internet connection. That's not good enough for it. Or the ultimate one. You don't need the ultimate one, of course. The good thing for me is the performance that really impressed me a lot. I've played some other cloud gaming services, and they don't compare to this at all, in my experience. Also, the price for me, it's well worth it rather than going out and paying for a new Nvidia card. Of course, that might be a totally their what they want, because, as you know, every company wants you to use subscription instead of buying things. And also that it uses less energy, less noise, less heat, and also play on any device pretty much. Even some TVs are supported, I hear, but I think that's a Samsung thing. But yeah, that sums up my review of GeForce Now from a old school gamer's perspective and a father's perspective. So yeah, I hope you found this video interesting and can give a like. Uh, don't no need to subscribe because I very seldom upload anything. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a good day.